The Index, Valve's second VR headset, and a big leap up from the first generation. I've been using it for the last few months, both for flight sims and room scale. I've upgraded from Valve's first headset, the HTC Vive, having kept my original 1.0 lighthouses. The headset screams quality, being highly adjustable to fit just about any head, with tilt, headband, speaker, eye relief, top strap, and IPD adjustments, even including an insert for smaller heads. Valve have worked hard to ensure the best comfort for the most faces. The weight is kept mostly off your face, the soft face cushion absorbs sweat, and doesn't cause friction against your skin. The rather unique off-ear speakers remove another point of discomfort, with no pressure on the sides of your head or ears. This makes the whole assembly convenient to take on and off. The only drawback is with all the adjustability, it took me a few days to truly get the headset where I wanted it, and to maximise comfort. This allowed me to go 4 hours without any noticeable discomfort or tiredness. The sound quality from the speakers is great. It lacks a little in bass versus dedicated headphones, but produces excellent sound. At times it's convinced me in-game sounds were real. With nothing resting on your ears, it does a great job of immersing you in the environment. I usually run a desk fan in the background as I play, which has been inaudible over the speakers. Directional sounds are very convincing and you feel like you're surrounded by your environment. So I'll be happily shelving my headphones for now. If you do wish to use your headphones, however, you can remove the speakers with a torque driver and plug in via a headphone jack found behind the face cushion. During intense play sessions, I found the headset has better airflow around your face than the Vive, making it feel cooler if there is a breeze. The cushions collect sweat well, and when you're done, you can quickly release the face cover and take it away to dry or clean to protect the headset. The microphone is excellent. There is no need to use an external mic, making the headset a complete package, with no hassle from extra wires or equipment. It doesn't suffer from wind noise under heavy breaths during the action. It does pick up the speakers at high volumes a little though. I'd happily use it in multiplayer or for a video, and if you hadn't already guessed, this last paragraph was indeed recorded with the Index's microphone. This makes it a convenient all-in-one package without the need for extra accessories or wires attached to your head. The front cover is removable, revealing air vents and a USB socket with the intention for expansion. Personally, I might build and install a small USB control panel with buttons for toggling my microphone mute and recording on and off, but others may have more impressive uses, like the leap motion hand tracking. So let's get into the visuals and the lenses. The IPD adjustment is a critical feature over the Rift S, allowing everyone to get the correct lens position relative to their own eyes. Then with the eye relief you can dial in the FOV up to about 115 degrees. Unfortunately, if you're wearing glasses you will not be able to get quite as much. The adjustment lets you bring the lenses right up into your eyebrows. This enables us to make full use of the rendered display. With the lenses close, you can see the entire screen edge to edge, with little to no wasted rendering beyond our field of view, unlike the Vive. The sweet spot required for the best image clarity is about the same as the Vive, requiring a little adjustment to get right. The screen door effect, however, is almost eliminated, with only a very fine, square grid over your view, which is easily forgotten. You'll not find it obstructive, nor fight with it to read text. On top of this, we're able to look with our eyes. On older headsets you'd find the image becomes distorted and blurred. Not so with the Index, where only the very outer edges start to blur. This gives you the ability to glance at gauges in the cockpit without the need to rotate your entire head for a clear view. This is a greatly appreciated advantage, especially in older aircraft where you can quickly reference airspeed and engine temperatures or RPM without having to look down. The 1440 by 1600 per eye resolution as a whole is an excellent upgrade, which between the two eyes puts the Index on par with a 1080p monitor when fixed to the same field of view. I find myself able to read text with ease around the cockpit, on the HUD, or even the complex HUD of the A10C. It's clear enough to read without zoom or leaning in. To truly test this, I tried air-to-air refueling with the F-15C. By referencing the guidance lights under the nose of the tanker, using 100% pixel density, I was able to not only refuel no hassle, but also read these lights without the need to use zoom, although I must stress this was at the limit of readability. If you make use of VR zoom, you'll have no difficulty at all. This is brilliant news for those of you anticipating the upcoming DCS F-16 Viper. I do find myself needing to lean in just a little, shift the seat forwards or zoom in to read the more complex displays on the Hornet, but this can be true of monitors as well. I no longer feel like my gameplay is held back by the resolution. The only issue I've got is with the lenses, as they do still produce a small amount of glare. This is only visible on bright objects like the map on the center display, which produces a smoky white glare around the very edges of the lenses. Bright illuminated text will also have a very slight halo around the letters when you're not looking directly at them. This is uncommon and generally I found neither to be an issue personally. Both are far better than the original Vive, however. Spotting the meatball on landings is now more comfortable when turning into the groove. You might want to use some zoom if you're doing a case-free or straight-in approach, however. Seeing ground objects can still be tricky without zoom, but the helmet-mounted sight works incredibly well, being easy to read, whereas on the Vive it had been almost unusable. I've found spotting aircraft is actually easier than on a monitor, although because we don't have a flexible zoom level, identifying them can be more difficult, but still much improved. Whilst dogfighting, it is very easy to read your opponent's aspect, which was something I struggled with and a constant issue for me on the Vive. The field of view is a mild upgrade over older headsets, but in flight sims it's still not quite there. It can be difficult to look behind you, and whilst it's greatly improved with both a wider field of view and ability to see clearly to the edges of the lens, you still have to look unnaturally far to see behind yourself. Whereas in reality, you only have to look most of the way and let your eyes go the rest. This can cause issues in a dogfight where an aircraft is behind you on your tail. The Index has the widest field of view out of all the headsets other than the Pimax ultra-wide headsets. I feel that it is a good trade-off between performance costs and field of view in general, however. The Index does not suffer from angle distortion, and the edge-to-edge clarity make it a vast improvement over the Vive, letting you look behind with the corner of your eye, although it's still a little bit of a strain versus reality. There is no light leak from around the headset or from the other eye, although if you look fully to the left or right, you'll see the inside edge of the outer lens appearing in your vision beyond the outside edge, a bit like your nose would. This can't really be avoided, but it's more apparent than the Vive, as you'll find yourself looking to the extremes more often. If you've read or heard reviews from the Index launch, you're probably aware of the issues with black and dark scenes. Both the Rift Test and the Index use LCD panels, which are not terribly great at representing black. This issue was exaggerated by a second problem. The Index had a very heavy blue bias, making dark scenes even worse. This has since been resolved with firmware updates, and the screens produce a natural colour. As a result, blacks are now far less grey, and about the same as what you would expect from your average LCD monitor. This doesn't personally bother me, although it's something you do notice. The gains in resolution and low to no screen door effect at all are well worth the trade-off in my mind. This is especially true thanks to the high performance that the screens are capable of. Unlike the Rift S's limited 80Hz, the Index will go up to 144Hz, combined with the incredibly quick pixel persistence giving you a fast, clear image. This is most notable in fast-paced action games, and Beat Saber having the extra frames allows you to see more and genuinely helps improve your ability to perceive and play games. It makes everything smoother, including head movements, which helps make the system more comfortable, causing less stress on your eyes as you play. you really start to feel the improvement as you push up against the limits of your abilities on very fast songs. In most cases, I would say the increased refresh rate is not a deal breaker, but when you really get into fast games, I greatly appreciate its presence. The index can scale down to 120, 90 or 80 Hz for those running on slower machines. This can also allow you to reach 60 or 72 FPS under motion smoothing in taxing games like DCS, where you are limited to half your refresh rate as a result of the heavy performance costs, making full 144 FPS unattainable, whereas on a Vive you would have been limited to 45 FPS. This results in far fewer motion smoothing reprojection distortions and makes for a great experience despite the lower frame rate. Motion smoothing is a means of working around the performance issues by filling in the blanks when you can't reach the required frame rate. This is common in heavily demanding programs such as DCS. Flight sims are only half the story for me. The Index is a system that can do everything. This includes room scale. The Index, like the Vive before it, are king for room scale VR, with the most accurate tracking and the greatest reliability. Of course, this comes at the small price of requiring lighthouses set up around your room, either the new version 2 Index or version 1 Vive lighthouses, making it a very tempting upgrade path for Vive owners, as you can save the cost of a new pair of lighthouses. To me, VR is as much about the ability to move your body as it is the immersion. The Index's strengths play well into room scale. The increased resolution greatly assists. In first-person shooters, you're able to see down sights and aim with much greater ease than ever before. No longer are you guessing where you're aiming, with the ability to see in far more detail. To support room scale, the Index has a pass-through camera, which you can enable by pressing the Steam button rapidly. This lets you interact with the world around you. You even have depth perception, however everything is a little smaller, and appears slightly further away than it should be. This is easy to get used to, but it is a result of the wide camera spacing. You can select full video or ghosted edge highlights. Its resolution is not high enough to read a phone or computer monitor without getting excessively close, but you can certainly use it to grab a drink, switch on a fan, or see what you've just knocked over. The Index was released with the Knuckles controllers. These have individual finger tracking, a mini-stick pressure-sensitive touchpad, analog trigger with button detent, 2 top buttons, and a pressure-sensitive handle grip. The controls on the top face can also sense if they're being touched to provide a basic thumb position tracking. There is also a recessed Steam menu button. You won't be pressing this by accident, like on older Vive ones. However, I have found that sometimes it's a little too difficult to reach with my thumb, resorting to use my other hand to press it on occasion. The strap is adjustable to a number of hand sizes and allows you to completely let go of the controller. This gives you a natural way to pick up and drop items. The tracking rings on the outside are also no longer an issue, and they don't get in your way when you're performing actions such as reloading. I've found the grip to confidently hold the controller securely in place, even with throwing actions. However, the knuckles also come with lanyards for some extra security if you would desire it. Although there is no dedicated thread point, so you're going to have to wrap them around your tracking band, making it something of an afterthought. The knuckles make for a great experience in general. The finger tracking is approximate, and it can take a little while to calibrate after repositioning your hands. Once it is set, however, it's great fun in social environments, allowing you to gesture. This little feature is a huge improvement and always leaves a smile on my face, making everyone feel far less like robots. Your fingers can individually open and close, with no ability to track wiggling them side to side, so sorry Star Trek fans. Most of the time the fingers track accurately after the first minute of calibration. However, if you get sweaty hands during gameplay, I find that the tracking can be degraded until you wipe the controller down. The thumbsticks are far more precise than the old Vive touchpad was, and better suited to full locomotion games. The knuckles are of very little use in a HOTAS cockpit as they're not practical to use without putting them on, making them impossible to quickly grab, so I prefer to use a mouse. Battery life is much the same as the old Vive ones, and they're comfortable, although a little strange to adjust to. Being able to simply close and open your hand to pick things up, rather than pushing a button, makes the whole process feel a lot more natural. Sadly, there have been issues with the thumbsticks not clicking in every direction and being difficult to actuate, which I've had myself sadly. Secondly, there is something of a problem with the adoption rate in games that support the knuckles properly. Many games have opted to add a fingerless solution, which is very disappointing even if they're only cosmetic. This is especially a letdown when a title is multiplayer. For the moment, only a handful of games make proper use of finger tracking. When they do, it's an excellent addition to immersion. Those that don't, you can still play, with the Steam overlay providing legacy control binds and community-made ones, as well as the ability to customize it for yourself. Personally, I prefer to go back to my Vive ones on most games that do not support knuckles unless full locomotion is available, as the implementation on these can be a little touchy. For these reasons, I would suggest holding off on the knuckles if you already own a pair of Vive ones, and plan on using the old version 1 lighthouses. I'm sure this will improve into the future, but until then, the knuckles can't quite live up to their potential. I think the Valve Index sits apart being the best general choice headset, able to do everything, without having to make serious sacrifices, giving resolution, field of view, refresh rate and tracking, all placed in a professional package with great sound, microphone and comfort, allowing you to enjoy everything VR has to offer. Of course, the Index is pricey, and specifically for simulators there are cheaper options that'll do the job. The Index is a very tempting upgrade for Vive owners with the ability to buy just the headset, making it an incredible value for money upgrade. There is still room for improvement. It's not the absolute perfect headset, but we are steadily getting there. For those of you looking to do sims and room scale, I can without hesitation recommend the Valve Index over other headsets. I've been very pleased with the system and look forward to many hours immersed in VR with it. So what do you make of the headset? You're welcome to ask any questions and share your experiences below. Take care.